So I've just been looking at a study, and it's the effects of changes in water intake on mood and high and low drinkers. Now, when they say drinkers, they just mean water drinkers. I know it kind of sounds like alcohol, but it's not. So I was trying to think of a video idea, and then I wrote down mood and water, and I searched for a study, and then this came up, and I thought it was quite interesting. There's a couple things I've found in it that I think maybe need to be spoken about, but it's quite interesting. So I'll jump into the study. It starts off with you have 22 high water drinkers and then 30 low water drinkers. So the highs are drinking 2 to 4 liters a day, and the lows are drinking less than 1.2 liters a day. I think I would say, yeah, 1.2 is very low in my opinion. And then they split them into groups based on their water intake, so the high and low. And in the first day, they checked all their mood scores, and they kept the highs drinking 2.5 liters of water a day, and the lows drinking 1 liter of water a day. And then on day three is when they decided to swap their water intake, and these were the results. So I found it quite interesting just to know at baseline before they swapped their water intake. The people who were classed as the high water drinkers, they they scored slightly higher on first scores, and this is at baseline, which I guess makes sense, which is why they're drinking more water. Um, but what I also thought was interesting, they also scored slightly higher on the POMS depressive dejection scores, which I believe kind of measures emotional like distress, and so they seem to be slightly higher on that, which I find a bit weird. Unless I've interpreted that wrong, I just find that weird that the people who are drinking higher water levels um, happen to be slightly more depressed, I guess, in a sense. Again, it's quite a small group of people. Maybe this is just a off thing. Maybe it's nothing to worry about. I just thought it was quite interesting looking into that. So, something that we can actually compare though is the differences when they change their water intake. So what happened with? Sorry, one sec. So which were both higher and lower in the high, the restricted water intake resulted in a significant increase in thirst, which obviously makes sense, a decrease in contentedness, a decrease in calmness, and decrease in positive emotions, along with vigor activity. So I think that makes a lot of sense. If someone's drinking a lot of water, they're thirsty, they feel like they need it. They're all those positive feelings go down, which makes sense. But I thought it was really interesting that in the low group they had a positive result. So in the low group they were obviously drinking more water, and then they had a significant decrease in fatigue and inertia, significant decrease in confusion slash bewilderment, which I find quite funny because I imagine them just being bewildered, standing around like spinning. But anyway, and then also thirst, which is obviously like, yeah, obviously. So, and then a trend to lower sleepiness. So it seemed to, yeah, I guess it didn't necessarily increase positive emotions per se, but it's definitely helped with their fatigue, confusion, thirst, and they were less sleepy as well. So I can see how that can definitely increase your mood indirectly because you're going to be able to do more, you're going to feel better. So it was quite interesting study. I mean, there's nothing like super crazy here, but I think it's quite interesting, and it just shows how it can help with with like fatigue and bewilderment. For their conclusion, they kind of summarized it as increasing water intake has beneficial effects in low, which is the low water group, especially sleep wake feelings, whereas decreasing water has detrimental effects on high's mood. These deleterious effects in high were observed in some sleep wake moods as well as calmness, satisfaction, and positive emotions. So interesting find. It's not too crazy, but I just saw it as an interesting study. And, I guess anyone watching this can consider their water intake and then look into the study if they want. Um, Obviously, listen to your doctor first. But yeah, that was it.